Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our latest episode of All Things Football, where we discuss all things football. And the hot topic on our mind right now is that spectacular win against Villarreal. Spectacular, on paper, from what it looks like, last minute winner. But there's some deeper things that we
Bro,
need to delve in.
spectacular overall. What a
Yeah.
win.
Oh, what
We
a
needed that
game.
win.
I mean, it was,
Magical.
yeah, last minute
Anyway,
last minute winner from Ronaldo takes his shirt off into the crowd. I mean, I was running around. Hub knows this. I was absolutely going crazy.
I lost my voice after that game. I mean, what
But
what
I
a
want
what
to
a
I
what
want
an
to get
ending.
into it. I want to go to Luke first actually because I know that he's got a strong opinion on this. I want to ask Luke, what do you think about like were you let down by the manager's tactics day before yesterday?
N- um, I guess you could say that. I wasn't. Look, I was really happy we got the win. Right, I was extremely happy. 97th winner from Ronaldo, nonetheless. I mean, how much better can that get, right? I mean, for a Champions League first time for the fans to come back to the stadium and see that, imagine that. But at the same time, you do have to look at you know 2-1
Spectacular. I mean,
results.
I'm smiling from it right now. Like I'm still smiling from that winner.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
and and I mean, yeah, just thinking about it makes you want to smile,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, 2-1 results. I mean, it catches up to you. I don't think that's Manchester United quality, especially in group stages against Villarreal. And I think that's going to catch up to Ole very soon if he keeps bringing those results. I mean, Villarreal are 11th in La Liga. This is not a team we should be getting a 97th minute winner from Ronaldo, right? I mean,
Yeah.
let's be real here. Ronaldo saved Solskjaer's job today. I think, are from going down a steeper decline. So
Yeah.
Let me,
Yeah,
I
let me
just want
I
to get
think
Hub on it.
yeah, I think Hub had an analysis.
yeah, I just
Just
wanted to. I mean, I've been thinking about this not just after this performance. Just for the past 2 weeks. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Ole's tactics, the way his team plays, playing style, right? I think people are kind of forgetting what kind of moment we're going through right now. We've bought a lot of players recently, right? How long has it been since the window ended? It's been a month, pretty much, right? We brought in players like Ronaldo, Varane, Sancho. Players like Sancho, I mean Cavani, all these players. It took them a while to get back into the team, right? We have a fairly new first 11, a very different first 11 to what we ended with last season. We don't have Rashford back, right? I mean, Maguire has been in and out. De Gea has been a positive, right? We'll talk about that in more detail. Keeping that in mind, plus we've had a rough patch over the past 2 weeks, right? To get out of that rough patch, sometimes you do need a scrappy last minute win, right? That last minute win kind of propels you to get out of that moment. I mean, I was talking to Luke earlier. He mentioned that Ronaldo, in his interview, he mentioned that the players were nervous during the game, right? They're nervous because of the results that we've had. They're nervous because they know they have to win this game to have a chance to qualify from the group, right? All these things that add pressure to the players. Previous results, current situation, the group, they know they're not playing too well. Ronaldo mentioned he didn't play that well, right? It will take some time, in my opinion, for these players to gel together. And especially when you're playing against a team that love to sit back. I mean, Villarreal, I know we say that they're not a very good team. They haven't lost a game since before we played them in the final, right? They know how to defend. Unai Emery, I mean, you can say whatever you want to say about the guy.
Oh,
The,
if I may
the guy
interrupt you,
knows how
I'm
to
sorry.
defend.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Okay, but I want to say one thing to what you're saying. You're saying they know how to defend. I don't think that's relevant because I think the problem wasn't us trying to break them down and failing at it. I think we attacked well. I said this to you on Wednesday. I think we attacked well. The
Yeah.
problem was how they attacked us. and our defense. So I don't think bringing their
Look,
defense into
look,
question
look,
is
look
But then
relevant.
at
again,
the
we don't have our first, defensive
exactly.
lineup.
Look at the lineup we had in the back. You have Varane, who's a new signing anyway. It'll take him time to fully bed in and get settled into the club, right? Then you have a player like Lindelof. I mean, Lindelof. I don't know. I don't know how he became a center back. He's a defensive liability. I think he should have picked a different position in the academy, right?
How are you
You
gonna
have
hate on
Delo-
the Iceman like that?
I'm just
I
stating
was
facts
hating
right
Iceman.
on the
there.
I mean,
Iceman.
I stopped using
He is
Iceman like
demoted
3
from that
years ago.
nickname.
Like we're done with that. Enough
Yeah.
of that. The ice is melted.
Look,
The
I
only
think
the
I
only
think
reason
Lindelof
he
is
was
a
an
good
Iceman
backup.
is because he completely melts in defense, right? When he sees an
Yeah.
attacker coming towards him.
Ooh.
Delo got spanked in the back. I mean, we're gonna talk about this. Delo got absolutely spanked and skinned on that right side, right? That number 15, he had him for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Right? It was bad. It was really bad.
This is why I don't agree with Ole out necessarily, but I can see how he is starting to go back on that track. But like Franco said last episode, right? Whenever it seems like Ole has his back to the wall, the media's looking for replacements already. He comes out fighting, like Franco said last episode. So I do have faith in the manager. I'm not Ole out, and I definitely think I trust him to make the right decisions, but he has to show it now. I mean, he has too good of squad depth to be using that as an excuse against Villarreal. Now, bigger teams, I understand.
I agree with you, and I think with time, the longer he'll have these players, the more time he'll have to work with these players. We'll start to see a playing style. It's very different having Ronaldo on top, right, and having the same playing style we did last year. Last year it was all about press them high with Cavani, Rashford, Bruno, right, Greenwood. We used to press them really high, try to get the ball up high, and try to counter against them. We've seen the games Ronaldo's played so far. Ronaldo's not going to press the opponent, right? So you have to play with a different playing style. Now everyone around him has to get used to him, right? So it will take time. I understand we're not playing well at all. I mean, there are certain aspects to the game where we're not able to break down teams. We're not able to have those patterns. I agree, even though I think we played well. But that will come with time once we have a more stable defense, right? I mean, having 3 of the 4 in the back will not play first team football, right, regularly.
Okay.
You have a stable defense. You build from that. Obviously, we know our midfield is a problem. We tried something new. I don't know if you guys noticed. Ole mentioned that in his post-match conference. You know how we mentioned in the last video when we were talking about our midfield problem? We mentioned that Ole should play with 2 8s and a number 6. So drop Bruno a little deeper. And that's what he actually did. But Ole said it didn't really work because McTominay was isolated. So I actually
I'm glad he realized that.
I wanted to ask you guys about that. That new midfield we tried. What did you guys think of that?
So
McTominay's not
I
the
wanted to
man for the
address
job.
I want to address Delo real quick before I get there. I definitely think okay, so he's definitely rusty, right? We know this. He doesn't like play. He hasn't been playing a lot, but I definitely think while we are playing him and until he is good enough to like I like Delo a lot. I think he has the potential to uh possibly be our future right back because he's really good at attacking. Um,
The
I
guy is
think
done at United, man.
I don't know.
I don't think
I
so.
like
I
him,
don't
The
think so.
guy's done.
I don't agree with
No,
that.
he's
going
not
back,
United quality. If he can't
I've
defend
seen him
those
for so
those
long,
through
man.
balls,
Okay,
Delo,
everybody has
you
bad games.
you just
Everybody has a bad
you
game.
struck a nerve there. Look, I believe in Delo, right? I've been his biggest fan. I mean, I still like his qualities. The guy can put in a mean cross from the right? But you cannot be a right back if you can't defend. It's like saying we're gonna have this striker up top. He's an amazing defense. He can track back. He can tackle, right? He can save goals by diving and catching the ball. He just can't score. Then why is he a striker? Same with Dilo. The guy. I mean, I've seen him over the past few years. I always thought, okay, the guy has attacking quality. He's gonna develop his defensive side and he's gonna turn into a top right back. It seems like he's getting worse defensively.
I disagree with that the fact that I think he has it in him to do that, and like I agree with Franco, he just having a bad game. But regardless, what I wanted to say was I think we should definitely play Varane on that side as long as Maguire's out, because what Varane has in experience in Champions League Varane, right? He can cover for the mistakes that Delo is making in defense as
Hmm.
long as Juan Bissaka's out as well, which I think, by the way, is like really dumb by UEFA. I mean, how are you going to give Juan Bissaka a 2 match ban when De Bruyne literally did the same thing and you're not even going to book him for it? Like, just
And
a
not just that,
yellow?
it's the same referee who gave Wan-Bissaka a red card, but that's a
Exactly.
topic on its own.
I guess City have one
But yeah,
fan now.
so I definitely think Varane should be playing on that side with Delo as long as don't have our full strength squad. Because look, this back four has never played with each other before. This is a brand new back four, and until Delo can get his act together, Varane's gonna have to cover for him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the low. I don't know, man. I don't think.
But back to
I
your
mean,
original question about the midfield,
yeah. So,
about
what do you guys think
McTominay's
of
role.
that? So, like, let me just talk about this a bit more. I think that midfield could have worked really, really well, especially against a low block. But I think Pogba let that midfield down. Look, I'm
Did it?
Pogba's biggest fan. I love Pogba. I want him to sign that new contract. I want him to stay, right? If he wants to have a future at United, he has to learn how to play in that midfield three, right? That system Ole tried on paper. I was talking to Franco pre-game, right? When we set up and we had just started the game. I loved our shape on the field. The way we were set up, you could tell we're set up to attack. I even told Franco, the way we're set up, for me, it's all on the players now. Ole picked the right team based with the squad we had. He picked the right formation. The shape was there. I think Pogba let that midfield down, and I think because of Pogba, Ole is gonna go back to a two-man midfield. And let me tell you why. Before you guys give your opinion, the way you set up, the way Ole set up that midfield, a three-man midfield with a six, McTominay. You have Pogba and Bruno. Bruno was brought deeper, right? I don't know if you guys noticed, but both Bruno and Pogba, they kept pushing up together. They're literally at the edge of the opponent's box. And you had McTominay behind those two, and then the whole defense. There was a massive hole in midfield at Villarreal. All they had to do was they put two men in the midfield on Scott, and he just didn't know how to deal with them. Right? Because the midfield was
Rightfully so. That's too much for him.
Exactly. I mean, I think Pogba he should be allowed to go forward, but then he also has to come back and defend. I mean, what kind of central midfielder are you if you're not willing to track back? You see McTominay's alone. He needs to have that desire and drive to come back and help out in defense. I think Bruno did that. There were several times where Bruno stopped their counterattack. Bruno ran back and he actually tackled the guy, right?
And
Even
that was straight passion, in my opinion.
That's desire. I think if Pogba had dropped back more when we're defending, that midfield would have worked so well. And I think our entire problem that we saw in terms of our style of play, that would have been fixed because when Pogba dropping deeper to help McTominay out, what that does is not only do you have a higher chance of winning the ball back because you have two midfielders coming back, when you win that ball back, right? Because you have two people now in midfield, you have a better chance of getting that ball and transitioning it to your forwards. Well, what's happening now in that game was that McTominay would get skinned because he it was usually 3v1, right? And even if we won the ball, it was basically our back four and McTominay on one end, and you had Pogba, Bruno, and our forwards on one end. So they would get the ball, have no one in front of them, and they would just have to hoof the ball up towards the forwards because there's no connection. If you have two, you can actually build up the play and get it to the forwards. So what do you guys think? Like, how do we move forward from this? Do we just persist with Pogba in there and keep trying that midfield three? Do we change the personnel? Do we change the shape of the team completely? What do you guys think?
Well,
I think
like
yeah, go ahead, Luke. Go ahead.
like you said, Hub, when you brought up the point that the team still needs time to figure out each other. I think this midfield should be given more chances and time to figure out each other as well. Because let's be real, how many times did they play like this last season? Not very many times, if at all, right? That I can recall of. So I think this midfield should be given time to prove themselves. And also, McTominay needs to learn still. He's young, and this is not his natural position. So he needs
Let
to
me
gel into that too.
let me ask you one more thing. This was Villarreal, who are known to be good defensively, but are terrible going forward, right? I mean, they are absolutely terrible going forward. You put the same midfield against Everton. I mean, they're gonna eat this midfield alive.
It won't work. Yeah, it won't work. Even if Pogba played brilliant, I don't think it'd work.
One thing I definitely think we should do is Ole needs to decide whether or not he wants McTominay to be that guy for him, right? Because if he's dead set on McTominay being that guy for him, and he agrees to, well, if he continues to not play Fred in that position, um, he needs to he needs to switch up McTominay's training because McTominay is best when the midfield's kind of open. He can drive the ball forward and pass it to people up, like pass it to Bruno or pass it to Pogba. But McTominay needs better coaching and further coaching to be in that role, to be that single pivot. Because every time he's had to play that deep, it's always been with Fred, and it's always like he hasn't had the chance to play that single pivot on his own. And like you said, Pogba wasn't coming back to help out, so he literally. People always say our defensive midfielders, they're not passing the ball forward. I mean, he was getting swamped by by the midfielders from Villarreal side. So the only option he had was to play the ball back to the defense. So we need
Well,
to either coach him better or figure out a way to do that, whether it be Pogba dropping back or something like that.
Let me add something
maybe.
else to this. If you let me add something else to this. Um, we took Pogba off, and he was pretty unhappy about that, right? And I think he did the right thing taking him off. Pogba was having a terrible game, right? He wasn't contributing going forward. He wasn't contributing defensively. We brought on Matic, right? You would think it's a very defensive move, bring on Matic. When Matic came on, our midfield three was Matic sitting. The first thing he did was he came and he actually came right between Varane and Lindelof to get the ball, right? When Matic came in, Ole told McTominay to push forward, go higher up, to play as an 8 next to Bruno, right? With that one change, it looks defensive. Matic coming on for Pogba. We started playing more attacking. Matic was able to dictate the play, go back, get the ball from the defense. McTominay was making the runs forward, but he was also coming back to help out, right? Villarreal didn't create many chances once Matic was on because now you had Matic, McTominay playing higher up. It wasn't a double pivot like we usually see with McTominay and Fred. McTominay is higher up with Bruno, but when Villarreal have the ball, he has the discipline and he has the desire to come back and help Matic out.
I think that's where
So
McTominay's at his best.
so here's something for you guys. Pogba's a big name player, right? The guy, he warrants to start. The kind of player he is. He's quality. He's a big name, right? For me, I'm not too sure if he starts against Everton. What do you guys think?
I think that look, Everton are being oversold. I really think so. And you guys might be like, what? Everton is a team that's been on the up and up in the past few years. That is true. However, going forward this season, they have been decent, but on defense, they give up a lot of silly chances. I mean, they beat Burnley, I think 3-1, and Burnley, which is a team that doesn't really create that much, I think had 5 or 6 decent opportunities against Everton. Add to that the fact that their star man up front, Calvert-Lewin, he's injured. He's not going to be playing. It's going to be Rondon. So I think I honestly think that the Villarreal team we played was a harder game than the game we're playing tomorrow, and I'll tell you why. It's not really about the team we're playing because I think Everton's a far better team than Villarreal on paper. I think it's about the occasion. I think the day before yesterday was a huge occasion, a lot of pressure, and the fact that we won is really doing like big favors for Ole. Um, in terms of like the pressure going into this Everton game, I do think we're gonna win this game. But back to what you were saying about the midfield against Everton, I would play Pogba because I do think Pogba is that player that needs to play week in week out and only be dropped when he's had a run of bad games or like against a small team like Norwich or a team
Past
in
two,
the
three
FA Cup.
games, Pogba hasn't done anything for me.
So
I
so
know, but it
I
hasn't been
come
long
up.
enough for me. It hasn't been long enough. I think we still need to have Pogba in that midfield, and the player, the one professional that I'd put next to him, I would say Matic. I would put Matic
I
next to
agree
him. I
with
would
that.
say you would have
But
a midfield three of Pogba, Matic, and Fernandes.
in
So
a Premier League side, especially the way Rafa sets his team up, right? He's all about it'll be a very similar game to Villarreal. The way Rafa always sets his team up is being very organized, right? He likes to pick a physical side. He likes physicality. That's why he always takes Ronaldo with him wherever he goes, right? And then kind of counterattacking against teams, which we struggle with when teams counterattack against us, right? We prefer when teams are building up and then we can sit back and then we can just break on the counter. It's not going to be easy, I mean, against Everton. I think it's going to be a very physical game. It's going to be a battle. So having someone like Matic, I think he's our best defensive midfielder. I don't know if he can work next to Pogba anymore against Everton. I think he's good enough to work against someone who will help him out, someone like a McTominay, right? But I mean, I do agree it's a home game. We're at Old Trafford. Everyone expects us to win. What do you think, Steph? Is he gonna start?
So I want yeah. So what I would do was I agree with what you're saying about uh like when Matic came on for Pogba, like it changed the dynamic of the game. And say what you want about Ole, and say what you want about his tactics. One thing I admire about him is that he does make he has the ability to pull off a big name player if he's not performing, right? And that's what you want in a manager because you want to send a message to that player that if you're not willing to put in the work, and I think that's what's happening, that Pogba's gotten so used to playing on that wing or playing so attacking that he's forgotten how to work that well in a midfield. If he has to learn that if he doesn't put in that work and um doesn't like put in a shift and like help out in the midfield, he's like I wouldn't say replaceable, but like he Ole will take him off for Matic and move McTominay in that situation or whatever he needs to do. But what he needs to know is like no player is bigger than the club. We want to do whatever is best for the team. So sending that message to taking off a big name player and saying if you're not gonna do what you're doing, like the role you're supposed to be in, and you're not contributing to the team, I'm pulling you off. It doesn't matter who you are. So for the Everton game, I definitely think we should definitely go with McTominay, Pogba, and Bruno like usual. But
Let's let, let,
I would
let's
make sure like
let's talk about our team. So that's one thing I want to
okay.
move. That's a good transition. I'm gonna start off with Luke actually with this. So Luke, you mentioned you want Matic in there in the midfield, right, next to Pogba.
Right.
Give me your midfield and attack. Who are you playing against Everton?
I'm playing Telles on the left, De Gea. I'm playing Lindelof, Varane, and I'm gonna play Dalot. Obviously, we don't have much options in the back.
I mean, Wan-Bissaka can play. He's not suspended in the Premier League.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Wan-Bissaka.
Dalot's gonna get spanked by Richarlison.
No. Wan-Bissaka, obviously. I don't know what I was thinking.
I don't know if he can handle more spankings when he's had it.
Yeah, I think he needs to be quiet for a bit now. The last, I don't want to see him.
Bro, we're gonna see him against Atalanta. What do you mean quiet? I mean,
I
Atalanta,
I
No,
think
they're
his
an
Luke's not
lineup.
gonna.
attack.
Luke isn't gonna register that. He's gonna be like, nah,
Yeah,
No,
the
no,
y'all
and
are
that's a
y'all are
lineup
playing
with
hating
on
on
the
the
right
wrong
side.
lot.
three in the back, then play
Y'all
Delon.
need to, yeah.
I
I
swear.
agree with Steph. Dalot is a
He,
solid
like
player. He had a bad game.
he's a good
Everybody has
he's
bad
a good
games.
he's young. He's only 22. He's gonna get better.
Bro,
Yeah.
he's getting
Lingard,
worse
don't apply
defensively.
that Lingard. Don't apply that Lingard. He's young,
No,
talented thing
but
on him.
this isn't
He's not
Lingard.
that young.
This isn't a 20. This
The
isn't a
the
28-year-old
the
hoping to
biggest.
get better.
Okay, let's address this Devil thing because it's gonna keep coming back. Let's address this
Okay.
first.
We're all fired up
So
about it, so let's talk
right,
about it.
so let's talk about the Delos spanking. Look, here's why I think he's not gonna make it at United, and I hope he proves me wrong. I really hope he does because he's got the qualities. Before the game, Frank and I were talking about if Delos can put in a master class. I mean, Wan-Bissaka may not be able to get into the team. That's what I was hoping for, right? Before he got spanked, absolutely spanked by the number 15. But
No,
hear me out.
we should get a counter to see how many times Hub says the word
I
spank.
mean, the number 15 like ran past him, slapped him, and kept running. Like it was
I mean,
literally so.
there was a moment where he ran number 15. He stopped. He waited for Delo to come. Then he ran again and he spanked him the second time. Like I was like, what is happening? Okay, so here's
I
It's a Tom and
definitely
Jerry cartoon,
so
basically.
here's why I think he's not gonna make it at United. I think one of the things that lets him down is his pace. The guy is not able to run back fast enough to put in a tackle, right? At this top level, every every foot counts. Every foot you can make up one running, right? There were so many occasions where okay, the defender got past him, right? I mean that shouldn't happen, but okay, it happened. As a fullback, as a right back and a left back, where you thrive is in those one-on-one situations, you know not to be able to let the player get a cross into the box. Even if he's past you, you go and you put a diving tackle or you put your foot out so the player can't get a cross in, right? Delo can't get back. He doesn't have the pace to track back and to be able to stop that cross from going in. There's so many occasions where he gets beaten. I mean, he's 22. He's not going to get faster. He's only going to get slower with age, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
so that's such a worry for me. I mean, Premier League is such a physical league with so much pace. I mean, this is Villarreal. The guy who was playing that number 15. I mean, I'm sure someone can pull it up. The guy who was playing for like a terrible team in the Premier League before. Who was he playing for? Was it?
Let me get these. Let me get these stats.
It was Bournemouth, I think. The guy is a nobody.
Yeah, I think it was Bournemouth.
It was Bournemouth. I mean, what's gonna happen when you play a player like Mbappe? Can you imagine putting Mbappe on Delo, right?
He'd have a hat trick.
Yeah, so this player played for Bournemouth for 2 years, and then Bournemouth decided to sell
the guy
him.
doesn't have the quality, and he is absolutely skinning Delo, right?
I mean, if Bournemouth sells you to a bad team, it's over. Your career is over.
Let's look at on the other side, right? You have Wan-Bissaka. There are many. We've all spoken about it that he needs to work on his attacking game, which everyone agrees with, right? He needs to improve his crossing. He needs to improve on when he goes forward, right? Say what you want to say about him. Defensively, even though sometimes he gets caught out in terms of his positioning, you know, one-on-one with a player, he's not getting beat. One-on-one, a player is running towards him. I mean, even if he gets beat, he's gonna go back and he's gonna give them a spanking, right? And he'll slide tackle them. He'll get the ball back. As a fullback, your main thing is let's defend first. Once you build that foundation of defense, then you work on your attacking output. Or sometimes it works the other way around. Sometimes you're really good attacking wise, like we had Valencia, right? But you're able to develop that defensive side, and Delo just is not. He's 22. I think he needs to move to a league where there's not as much emphasis on pace, like Serie A or La Liga. It's more technical.
Yeah,
I think that's what suits him, where he can stay up high, he can put in those crosses. Teams don't break with pace, it's more of a tiki taka. They're gonna build up, right? I think that's. I mean, that's. I want to move on from Delo, but
that,
if you guys
that's
wanna.
where I
Yeah,
disagree,
speaking
right?
about moving on from the low, let's go into different individual players, right? Because I
Okay.
think we've
Okay,
talked
but
about
I'm
Delo
not
enough.
done with this Delo thing. I'm gonna come back to it later on.
No, so
I
that's
think
the
we
color.
Maybe
No,
not. Maybe
Look,
I
we're
want to
not
get
maybe
over
not in
not
this
our
once
farewell.
and
video,
for
but
all.
This is not our farewell episode. We'll be back
okay.
again, guys.
Yeah.
All I want to say about Delo before we move on is that I think I agree with Hub about the pace thing. That he's definitely not the fastest one out there. But I also think strategically positioning yourself can make up for the pace thing. So you know you're not the fastest one there, and you know you're going up against someone who's faster than you. You got to have that strategic placement to make sure they don't beat you back, and make sure you're in a position where you can do it. So I don't think that's one of the factors that completely shuts him out. Obviously, he's not displacing Wan-Bissaka right now. I think Wan-Bissaka is starting right back, like undoubtedly right now. But I don't think you can count Delo out completely for me.
So
One
he'll
thing
be
I
good
will
club competition.
One thing I will say about Delo, one thing that goes for him, in my opinion, is he was playing next to Lindelof. Right. For me, if a player plays next to Lindelof, I kind of forgive him for that game, right? because of how bad Lindelof makes everyone around him. I mean, he made Champions League Varane, Europa League Varane that game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Varane messed up that one chance. So
That was
that's
on
one thing.
Braun, though.
Yeah, but Varane was like feeling very tired, because of Lindelof.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm sure
I'm
You
sure
wanna
blame
go back to the
Lindelof
game?
on everything. What?
I'm sure we're gonna talk about Delo more before the Atalanta game because
Yeah.
he's the only right back we have to play that game. Oh, please.
No, honestly,
Yeah,
like,
so
I'm calling Ethan Laird back from Luton Town. Come
I
play
mean-
right back.
No, but I want to move on from the lot, and since we're talking about individual players, I want to move on to. I know everybody saw Donny van de Beek's little tantrum he threw on the sideline, and
That's
I also
another
want to
hot
talk
topic right there.
yeah, I want to talk about that, and then after that, just what you think
So
about
Luke,
Sancho
about
and how
that,
he's
me and
getting.
Franco. I mean,
So
sorry,
yeah,
I am
we had a
Franco.
very
Me and
heated
Hub.
discussion regarding this.
Last night we got. It wasn't a discussion. It was a fight.
It was a fight.
We
It was
literally
a fight.
had
Okay.
literally fought over this. Like it was
Who
not.
won?
I have his shirt hanging over here, so clearly I won. Yeah, right?
I'm glad
Yeah.
of it.
This is
It
Franco
wasn't-
shirt. This is my trophy.
It was
for
no
that
civil
fight.
discussion. We were at each other's throats. I mean, I've always been a very strong supporter of Van de Beek. I've always criticized the manager openly about, him not playing Van de Beek, or starting him in certain games or using him well in certain games. I mean, I remember last season there was a game. I think it was actually Leipzig when we were knocked out of the Champions League. You guys probably remember that as one of the low points of the season. He brought on Van de Beek for 3 minutes at the end, and I think that was kind of a slap in the face. I was upset about that.
A
Obviously, it was
spanking.
compounded.
I don't know whether to laugh at that or
Even
to be
speaking,
sad.
I mean, it was, and then multiple other times when I saw Van de Beek on the bench throughout the season. So I am frustrated. I do admit I do have a bit of a bias towards Van de Beek. I will admit that, and I don't blame myself for that because at the end of the day, he's a really, really good player. I know
He's
for a
really good.
fact he's a really, really good player, and I was hella excited last summer. We were all on a
Yeah,
camping
we're
trip
all
together,
excited.
and
Yeah.
on the way back, the Don Fabrizio tweeted that he was coming, and I was over the moon.
Shout out to
It was,
know, I
it
think
was a surprise transfer. And it
Yeah,
was so awesome.
I was. It just makes me so sad to see people like Hub, taking
Okay.
this
No,
tantrum
let me speak for
out of
myself.
context.
Let me speak.
I don't blame Donny van de Beek for
Let
his
me speak
tantrum.
for myself. Let me tell you why we had a fight last night. Right. Okay. To start off with, this is what I told Franco as well. I completely agree where I thought Van de Beek should have been giving more minutes last season. He should have been given more opportunities. It is frustrating for me as well that he hasn't got enough game time. Right? 100% agree. Let's put that to the side, right? For me, I think there is a lot of hypocrisy in our fan base when it comes to Van de Beek, and I think it comes with this new trend on Twitter where we have. I'm not saying any of you guys do this. I'm saying there is a trend where you rep a player on Twitter and then you go down with that player basically, right? Martial FC, Pogba FC, Van de Beek FC, Bruno FC, right? I mean, that's an extreme. I understand that. But with that, what's happened now is instead of looking at a club where we obviously all support Man United and looking at what's best for our club, we've started to worry more about how does that one individual player perform at the club, right? We spoke about in that last episode how instead of adjusting our whole team to make sure Pogba plays in his best position so he can get that Ballon d'Or, he can play like he played in his Juventus days. No, we need to use him where we need him the most, right? That's what we spoke about last time. Same with Van de Beek. When I see Van de Beek, I see a talented player, right? But I also see the other side, which many fans don't see, which is talent only takes you so far, right? It's 100%. It's a fact that he has not impressed Ole, right? You impress a guy, you can change Ole's name to anyone else. You impress someone, that person is gonna play you. Yes, that's a fact. You could say that Ole has a bias. That's why he hasn't been impressed, right? But the fact is that he has not impressed Ole in training, right? Something is happening in training where Ole looks at him and he's like, nah, this guy, I can't trust him in a big game. I can't start him week in, week out, right? He sees other players and he thinks, I can trust that guy. He's going to give me his all in the game, right? So what I don't understand is, as fans, why do we make the assumption that Van de Beek is tearing it up in training and Ole, for no logical reason, is not playing him? I don't believe Ole is so illogical that he sees a guy tearing it up in training and he's like, oh, when my job is on the line, I need to win the game. I'm not going to pick that guy who's going to score 3 goals for me in the game or create these many goals for me. I don't think Ole is like that. He's a very positive person. I mean, he gets along with people. So for me, I understand the frustration that we have that Van de Beek hasn't started games. He hasn't gotten more game time. But I don't see people blaming Van de Beek for it, right? Van de Beek, I mean, one thing I'll say is, one thing people forget is not every player makes United, right? It's one thing playing for a small club like Ajax, and there are smaller, no disrespect to them, but in terms of when you talk about expectations, right? There's a reason why they're able to play their young players all the time, because they don't have the expectation to compete for the top trophies every year in, year out. We have that pressure, even though we haven't delivered over the past 8 years, right? And the pressure of the Premier League, it's a tough league to play in. It's physically draining. It's really, really tough. So for me, I put the blame on Van de Beek. I say, why, with this much talent that you have, which no one argues with, why aren't you showing it in training, right? Why aren't you showing that in training? And we've seen other signings that we made during the time we bought Van de Beek. We had Telles, right? We had a few signings. Telles hasn't gotten that much game time, right? But when I looked at that bench, we saw 2 reactions, right? I thought Van de Beek's reaction was a disgrace, the way he threw that gum towards Ole. If I told Franco, it doesn't matter who the person is or who is to blame, even if Ole is to blame in this situation, right? If I'm the manager, if I'm a manager at the club and I see what's going on behind me, right? When Van de Beek knows the camera's on him, he knows that when we make the subs are standing in front of Van de Beek. When we make subs, every single game, camera is on the bench when we make the subs, right? And if you see his reaction, I mean, if I'm the manager, I'm telling him after the game, bro, you find a team. I'm not playing you, right?
And here's why I disagree. You say, look, if he's not tearing it up in training, if he's not doing well, he's not impressing Ole, right? But then why did Ole told Donny that, oh, you're a big part of our future and I want you to stay, and he blocked the move from Donny away.
This exactly is my point. This is my point.
See,
because
like
I have an answer to that, and this is
I have
exactly
I
what.
have an answer too, and
Let
I mean,
me
I just wanted to.
go
Okay,
first.
you're on a roll. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I'm passionate. I mean, I won the shirt. I need to tell you guys
Do you
why.
see this?
Okay.
You see this right here?
Franco had
You
this.
must feel so defeated right now.
He stole the face. Let me clarify that for the record.
Yeah, I own this. Okay, this is mine. That's not yours.
Okay, Franco had the same answer the same argument you had that, and it's understandable. Okay, why was his move blocked then in the summer, right? The way I look at it is, I don't care about his move being blocked because I don't support Van de Beek. I support Man United, right? He is a Man United player, so I do support him. But when I look at the bigger picture, I don't care about a year of a player's career being wasted, right? I couldn't care less about that, right? That's for Van de Beek, his family, and his dog to worry about, right? For me, Ole, look, it was pretty clear we didn't have enough time, and Ole clearly thought that he was not going to get a midfielder if Van de Beek was sold. Yes or no?
There's no evidence
Right?
of that.
No, but
there is.
because we went over this. So you have to have a cover in midfield, right? Who do we have right now? As it is, we know our midfield's weak. We have Pogba, we have Matic, McTominay, Fred, and Van de Beek, right? If you have Matic is old, right? McTominay had surgery. If one of McTominay and Fred get injured, you need someone to be on the bench for you, right? You need squad depth to win the Premier League. We expect Ole to win a Premier League, to go ahead in further in the Champions League, to win a trophy. You cannot do that with just the first 11, right? You have to have a squad to do that. A squad which you may not even use during the season, but you need to have it in case you have that injury crisis. So you don't have to worry about any of that.
Van de Beek is not a bench player though.
No, then he has to prove that for me. He hasn't proven otherwise. But just to answer your point, in terms of his move being like blocked by Ole, right? If Van de Beek has a contract with United, right? It's not like he's being forced to stay at the club with no salary, with nothing, right? He's training with the squad. He's on the bench. He's training with the team every single day. He's part of that squad, right? If a manager sees a player and he thinks, I want to keep that player, no matter how unethical it is in terms of playing time, right? The manager has every right to say, I want to keep this player, I'm going to keep the player, right? I don't want to accept the bid from Everton. We don't even know if the bid was good enough to be accepted. We haven't even spoken about any of that.
But
right?
then you have to like not justify, but not. I'm not mad at Donnie for reacting like that, because if someone says they want to keep you, then they don't use you. That frustrates you, right?
Yeah,
and
he played when we had to rotate the
cup
squad.
games aren't good enough.
Took him off at
Cup games aren't
halftime.
good enough for him.
But he is being
We were
used,
playing on a red.
right? And he has every opportunity for the whole season to show in training that he can start, right? That's what it's all
I
about.
always think he never got a good run of game time, and he needs that to adjust for the team. He's never gotten. Name one period of time where you saw Donny van de Beek start 5
There
years
isn't.
ago. You've
Luke,
never
you're asking
seen
us to
that.
name one. There really isn't.
There isn't. I agree
never
with that.
happened.
That's what I started off with.
You
I
need
thought
to give players that.
I started off by saying that I agree. He should have been given more chances, and I put that on Ole. But I also say that it's not like Van de Beek is just playing PlayStation over the past year, and all of a sudden he's been asked to play in the Carabao Cup game. He trains with the team on a regular basis. All four of us, we play at like obviously just at an amateur level, just for fun. But we understand it when you start playing, even for fun, right? Your level goes up. He trains with these players. They do 11 aside in the background. He should be able to show in training that he's levels above because he has the talent. I think he doesn't show the same commitment. The reason with Pogba, same thing with Pogba. Pogba doesn't show that determination, and I think Donny doesn't show that in training. Pogba, the reason why he started with Pogba is levels ahead of Donny.
So if Donny doesn't show that, then let him go. And you should let him go then. And then
So
if you
here-
don't, he's gonna be
That's
frustrated.
exactly what I said to Franco. I understand Ole has every right to keep a player who's under contract, right, during summer. But now I will say, now we have time to look at replacements. What should happen now, in my opinion, is spend the next few months searching for a proper replacement. We don't want to buy someone just for the sake of adding a number to replace Donny. Get a proper person. Once we identify that person, once we are satisfied that we're going to be in a stable situation, then in January say, okay, now Van de Beek, we've had our time to find a replacement. Now you can go, right? And
See,
I
that makes
consider
sense.
less that 6 months of his career got wasted. I mean,
I'd like to say something.
Yeah.
So the point you bring up is good. Look, it is, if you look at it, from a legal standpoint, I guess, from a technical
not
standpoint,
just legal, a a club standpoint.
he does have a contract with the club. He was contracted until 2025. I understand that. However, I think it's really unfair on a player in his career if you're literally he blocked the move. This is not speculation. This is fact. He
Do we
Donny
know
said
what
blocked.
it.
the do we know what the bid was from Everton for Van de Beek? Was it a good enough bid to be accepted? I never heard of anything of a good enough bid. All I knew was Everton wanted to sign Van de Beek. Van de Beek wanted to
My
go to
point
Everton.
is Van de Beek wanted to go to Everton. He did.
How many cases have there been of clubs of a player wanting to move?
Look,
Right?
if Ole didn't block it, then Van de Beek would have pushed for it.
No, but I understand. But here's the point. This is so common in the transfer window. This is not the first time where, suppose club X this is gonna make it complicated. Suppose you want to sign a player, the player wants to come to you. This is like Sancho, right? But the club says you pay the price, otherwise we're not selling the player to you.
Okay, but Sancho knows that he's not going to sit on the bench for the next year.
Yeah, Sancho
Those are
knows he's gonna
two
get game
separate.
time.
There are other. I mentioned Sancho because that's the most recent thing and that's the most relevant to us. There are many other cases where players aren't playing and their moves are blocked because the club doesn't feel that they've been given a good enough financial package.
Look,
Right.
even past that, what I want to say is, and this is what I was going to say originally. I was done talking about Van de Beek before the incident. I was done. I didn't want to,
You're not getting your shirt back that easily.
I didn't want to bring up his.
His sore loser.
I didn't want to bring his name up. I didn't want to talk about him in lineups. I didn't want to put him in my predicted lineup. I didn't want to put him in the lineup I would play if I was a manager because I didn't see a point. Because I thought it was over, and I still think it's over. The only
I
reason
think he's leaving.
the only reason I'm talking about it with you guys here today is because he threw a gum at the floor, and he was consoled by
At
his
the
teammates.
manager, not at the floor.
Towards the manager.
Look,
Towards the
whatever.
manager.
Whatever. My point is, this is the last I'll be talking about him again, unless he
No,
starts starting
okay.
games.
Okay, that's
Just
not the
coming
last
off
I'll
the
be
bench.
talking
Well,
about.
one more
because-
thing before Steph, you continue.
God, you've been
I'm
ranting for
passionate
like
about it.
God
I
knows
gotta,
how
I
long.
gotta. So look, one thing I will also add to this. It's one thing throwing a tantrum in the dressing room, which he has the right to talk to Ole. He has the right to say, no, I deserve to play, right? I want that to happen in the background. I want that to happen where he's saying, no, I deserve to play. Then the players pitch in, coaching staff pitches in, right? That's healthy. You let it out of your system in the dressing room. It's unacceptable to do that in front of the cameras, right? It doesn't matter whose fault it is. You do not throw a tantrum like that in front of the camera. Right? That's base. And I feel
Why
like
are we still calling it a tantrum?
because it was
It was a
because,
tantrum.
because,
That's what
it was. It was
because
a
let me tell you
He was
let me
about
tell
to
you
start
why.
crying, bro.
Let me tell you why it was a tantrum. Because I'm done with the double standards in the media, right? You change the name of Danny Van de Beek to Paul Pogba, right? Because of his ethnicity, because of his color, the guy is gonna make front headline news. He's gonna be called unprofessional. He's gonna be called things like, "Oh, this guy is toxic for the dressing room," and we all know this. We've seen it happen, right? Why do we let things slide when a player who's supposed to be polite and respectful toward people, when he does it, you'd be like, oh no, it's just a bubble gum, right? No, I want every player to be judged the same way. If Paul Pogba does that on the bench, I'm calling it out, right? If Cristiano Ronaldo does that on the bench, I'm calling it out.
But I
If
don't want toxic media at our players. I don't agree with.
exactly, but that's what I'm saying. It's on Donny Van de Beek. He has every right to throw a tantrum in the dressing room. There've been so many occasions in the past under Ferguson and other managers where they used to literally fight in the dressing room. Ferguson would throw a boot at Beckham's eye. The ball was flying around. That's good. Just not on a bench. That's just immature from Donny Van de Beek, in my opinion. But I'll let Steph. I'm done. I'll let Steph talk.
Okay. Finally. Okay, so here's my take on it. Okay, going back to what Luke and Franco were
Going on
saying
to the
about.
Everton preview.
Oh God.
Go ahead.
Okay, so here's my take.
Steph, one thing.
I swear to God, if one more person interrupts me,
Steph,
okay?
Steph,
No. This is my thing.
No, with your point, come to kind of a conclusion as well with it.
Okay,
Because
but
we're
I
nearing the
need
end
to
of the
make
show.
We'll move on to Everton.
I've been chewing on this point for a while. Okay. I had to sit through all of Hub's rant for this point.
Steph, you're
How are you gonna do me like that?
Okay, continue.
Alright.
Sorry.
Okay. I thought Hub was gonna go for another 20 minutes. Okay.
Thank God he's not the admin. Otherwise, he would have kicked me out right now.
And Steph, like I said, let's wrap it up with this because we're getting to the end of the show.
Yeah. So what Luke was saying and what Frank was saying about Ole blocking Van de Beek's move, I definitely think Ole. I think Ole has a plan for Van de Beek, and I think so. Going back to the game, right? I think the reason Van de Beek reacted like that, which I don't think was professional at all. I agree with Hub about that, and I don't think there was any there's no reason for you to show that on camera when you know there's going to be a camera on you. But I definitely think the reason Van de Beek acted like that was because most likely Ole said that he was going to use him in that game because it's such a low block, and Van de Beek has those abilities to help out. But when the game wasn't getting better, Ole made a decision of taking off Pogba and Telles, right? And he realized that the best people to put in, even though I don't like Fred, I agree with Ole's decision in that moment of taking off. If he's gonna for taking off Telles, he had to put in Fred. He couldn't put in Van de Beek in that position, right? And Matic, he saw that Matic could bring that to the game, so he probably decided earlier on that he was going to play Van de Beek, and then in the moment in the game, he made the decision to change up his substitutions and bring Fred and Matic on. So I think that was probably the reason why Van de Beek got frustrated. And again, there was no reason for him to show that on camera, but I definitely think Ole does have a plan for Van de Beek, and he will bring him on at some point. But like Hub said again, he didn't. He probably didn't show in training enough for me to for Ole to justify bringing him on over somebody else, right? And one thing I want to go back to is that I want to go back to what Ole said that McTominay and Fred, right? That's why he picks them. He said he knows they will give their all for the badge, right?
He clearly
It
trusts
doesn't
them.
matter how good they are. It doesn't matter how good they are. We know they're going to give their all for it. And it's obviously something he's seeing in training. There's some lack of desire or lack of commitment from Van de Beek, whether it be because the move was blocked or whether he's not happy with being at the club. But regardless, there is something that Ole is seeing that we're not seeing. So I think we should trust the manager on that point. And I think he will use him at some point, but that's up to Ole, and only he can bring him on. So, and I agree with the double standard thing. We gotta stop blaming Ole for every time we don't play Van de Beek. We gotta put some responsibility on the player itself. Now, going back to Ole, I want to move into Everton.
Let's just wrap up the Van de Beek thing. That's obviously
I want to move on to Everton. So, what lineups would y'all say? What lineups would y'all say would be ideal for Everton? saying that Calvert-Lewin isn't playing and things like that, what would you say? What would y'all say would be the lineup? What Franco, why don't you go? You're muted, by the
Sorry. I'll go first, and then everyone will give theirs, and then we'll end it. I would play. I was just jotting it down. De Gea in goal, obviously. Wan-Bissaka on the right. Won't get spanked. Can bet on it right now. I'd put $1,000 on it. Varane, Lindelof at the back. Telles left back. I mean, the defense is everyone's probably gonna have the same defense. In the midfield, I would go with Pogba, Matic, and Fernandes, with Matic, dropping a little deeper than the other two, obviously. And then my front three would be, I think, obviously Ronaldo. He has to start every game. And I want to see. This is kind of unpopular. I want to see Martial on the left, and I want to see Sancho on the right.
Don't get me started on him.
Franco throwing a wrench in it.
Okay, so are we talking about
I said what I said.
Are we talking about the team that we want to start, or do we think will start?
Why do you like Martial so much?
What are we doing here? Are we talking about the team that
the team you would start?
So let's talk about the team you'll start, and then we'll come to an agreement on what we think Ola will start.
So if I could pick a team, this is the team I would pick against Everton with the players we have available. De Gea, like Franco said, Wan-Bissaka, because just for the fact that he won't get spanked, right? Like below. I would not start Lindelof in this game. For me, especially with how physical Everton are, especially with Rondon, if he puts Rondon up front, the guy is a physical beast. I mean, the guy can bully people. For me, Bailly goes in. If Maguire is not fit, which he isn't. For me, it's Bailly and Varane, right? Telles if Shaw is injured, but if Shaw is fit, for me, Shaw comes back in automatically. Midfield is what I've been thinking. I'm still not 100% sure. I'm sure by Saturday, my answer for midfield would have changed. Part of me, I think Ole will start both Fred and McTominay against Everton. But if I were to pick a team, I would start Matic. I would put Pogba next to him, Bruno, with the instruction for Pogba that please drop back and help Matic out. Right. For me, Sancho has to start every game now. The guy, he's getting better and better every game. He looks up and tries to create for players. So it would be Sancho, Ronaldo, and I'm tempted to put Cavani in. I really am. The guy was amazing in the previous game.
Can we talk about that?
He worked so hard.
Holy crap.
He worked so hard.
That was amazing.
That's why I want to get back to that for a second, but just to finish my team, I would put Greenwood to start off and then bring Cavani on second half.
For me, I would start De Gea. I'd go Wan-Bissaka, Varane. I don't trust Bailly to come in for his first match against Everton, so I'd go Lindelof, and then I'd go Telles. Even if Shaw's fit, I'd give him a break because Telles is gonna come in with that, momentum from that goal.
Yeah, that confidence.
And I'd want Shaw just to rest his injury. I don't want to force him back, like rush him back, especially when Telles has got that confidence. And then I'm gonna play Matic, Pogba with the same instructions for Pogba to come back, and then Bruno in front of them. So I'm not gonna play Matic and then Pogba and Bruno at the same. I'm gonna play Pogba and Bruno, and then Bruno on top of Matic and Pogba. I'm gonna play Ronaldo, Sancho, because I think he has to start. Both of them have to start, and then I'm gonna play Cavani on the left or the right, whichever one.
What about you, Steph? What's your lineup?
So my ideal lineup would be De Gea, obviously in that form that he's amazing. I would start Wan-Bissaka, with Varane and Lindelof. I mean, Maguire's injured. I wouldn't start Bailly just because, like Luke said, he's kind of inexperienced right now, and I think Varane can handle the physicality. So I'm not too worried about that aspect. So I think it would be Varane and Lindelof for me. and then I would start Luke Shaw if he is like good, like clear to start. I don't want him rushed back, obviously, because Talos is will come back from the momentum. But if he is fit to start, I would start Luke Shaw. My midfield would be McTominay, Pogba, and Bruno, because I think this would probably be a better game for them to kind of just develop into what I know they can become. So I would definitely start them. And then the front three for me has to be Ronaldo, Sancho, and Greenwood, because all three of them right now are undroppable for me. Sancho's getting better and better every game. Greenwood has, even though he hasn't found a goal, he is in excellent form, and Ronaldo's Ronaldo. But definitely Cavani would be on, like Cavani would come on to make an impact for me, because he's also, I mean, we'll get back to the run, but those would that would be my starting lineup. But definitely we can switch out the front three for Cavani or any any of the other, like Martial. I don't know. Martial wouldn't come on for me, even though Franco likes him a lot. He just hasn't shown that desire. Lingard would probably come on knowing Ole towards the end, but Martial wouldn't come on for me.
Right.
Franco's about to lose another fight.
Yeah. There's plenty to talk about. I know, like, we could go on forever, but we have to kind of end the video there. Otherwise, it'll be too long. I'm sure we'll have plenty of videos to talk about more stuff. And so this is a good point to stop, I think. And it's been a great conversation. I'm sure we'll have more debates, more shirt stealing, more. So yeah, I mean, do you guys want to add anything before we end the video?
I think if we just want to, I don't want to end this video, but without talking about that run from Cavani, because that run in itself,
I think that run deserves a video on its own. That's how good that
it was
run was.
insane. I saw where he started from. I saw how the player had so much time to get the ball away from him, and he just, I was in shock. That was insane. And that's something he brings. Like, you won't see Ronaldo doing that.
You'll never see that from Martial.
Nah.
You'll never see that from Martial.
Not even Ronaldo. Ronaldo won't. That ball was meant for Ronaldo.
I wish
every player. From the other side.
I wish every player had that work ethic.
Yeah.
Because nothing beats work ethic. Yeah. Not even talent. So.
All right, guys.
Yeah,
we could go on forever. But this is a good place to end, and it's just a pause. We'll continue this conversation in the next video. There's lots to talk about in terms of previous games. The Everton game, we'll have a lot to talk about that. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share the video.
Yeah, guys, we are a new channel. You know, it's as hard for us as it is for anyone else. So we really want our videos to be relevant when people search, you know, for conversations. There's people out there all the time looking for, you know, people talking about their favorite club, and it would really help if you guys liked, because the more likes we get, the more popular our videos will be, the more likely it is to show up on when somebody searches. And we just want to get our voices out there and get you guys heard as well. And, you know, we want to
definitely put your opinions in the comments.
The more people want to interact,
we want to be relatable, and you know, we want to be relatable for you guys, and because we're just four guys that just like to talk about, you know, the game, and I'm sure a lot of people
start our own burger chain, four guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people just like to sit down and talk, so we want to be relatable for you guys and make it feel like you guys are also part of the conversation. So we'd like feedback. Make sure to click the link in the description to see our previous video. Give that a look.
Yeah, that was a
all right, guys. Take care, guys.
All right, bye.
Bye.